Your Revit project is a complete virtual building model that can be viewed, edited, and explored three-dimensionally, two-dimensionally, and in various reports and tabular lists. Each such representation of your project is referred to in Revit simply as a view. Views are listed in access from the Project Browser palette, which functions much like a table of contents for the project. In this lesson, we will explore this tool and learn to navigate the various kinds of views common to a Revit project. So to help us do that, I've got this condominium building open here on screen. It's called Condo in the Chapter 2 of the exercise files. And we're looking currently at just an overall three-dimensional view of the building. Now over here on screen is something called the Project Browser. And this is typically docked over here on the left-hand side of your screen. And that's probably where you ought to leave it in most cases. Now, in some cases, it might get moved around or it might go away. You can see it's got a little close box right here. And what happens if I, accidentally close it? Well, I want you to know how to get it back just in case you find yourself without it one day wondering how to get it. So let's go over here to the View tab. Way over on the right-hand side, under the User Interface drop-down button, you'll see there's an item here called Project Browser. Currently, there's no checkbox because we just turned it off. And all you have to do is simply click on it and it will return. So pretty simple to get it back just in case you ever find it gone missing. Now, at the very top of the Project Browser, we have an item called Views. And then beneath that, we have several pretty standard architectural categories that you should be familiar with: floor plans, ceiling plans, 3D views, elevations, and so on. Beneath each of those is a variety of different views for the project that we're working in. So for example, if I want to take a look at the second floor of my building, all I have to do is double-click the Level 2 floor plan view, and that view will appear on screen. So this is a pretty typical floor plan that I'm looking at. And notice over here on the Project Browser that Level 2 is now bold to indicate that that is the actual active view on screen. Maybe I want to look at the Level 2 ceiling plan. I could double-click it the same way, and now I'm looking at the second floor ceiling plan. Maybe I want to look at the south elevation. I can double-click it, and now I'm looking at the south elevation. Now, we're not limited to just graphical views in a Revit project. There are actually lots of different kinds of views, including schedule views. So to open a schedule view, it's exactly the same procedure as to open a graphical view. You just simply double-click it on the Project Browser, and now instead of seeing a graphical view of the project, I'm going to see a nice tabular list that, in this case, is listing all of the rooms that are part of my project. And you can see it's a fairly long list with a scroll bar over here on the right-hand side, and this particular one is grouped by level. I've also got section views. Here I've opened up a view called Section 2. We're not limited to just opening views from the Project Browser. We can actually open views from the graphical indications on screen as well. So in this case, you could see that there's a section head shown here on screen, and if I simply double-click on it, you're going to see that it's actually going to open the view that's associated with that section head. Now take a look over here at the Project Browser after I double-clicked on that section head. Section 1 is now indicated in bold to confirm for me that I'm in fact looking at Section 1. Now notice that this is in a dark blue color, as are these level heads over here. These are also in a dark blue color. Generally speaking, that color indicates for you that this item is interactive in some way. So if I double-click on Level 2 head, notice that takes me back to the Level 2 floor plan, and I can confirm that over here on the Project Browser by noticing that Level 2 is now listed in bold. Now, simply opening views is probably not good enough. We also need to be able to get a better look at what we're seeing on the views. And in this case, we're kind of far away from this floor plan right now, so we might want to zoom in and get a better look. We have lots of tools available for us to do that. Typically assigned to each view over here in the right-hand corner is a little palette. It's a little toolbar, and it's called the navigation bar. And if you click on that bar, you'll see that there's actually a little drop-down indicator here with lots of different ways that we can zoom, some of which should be fairly self-explanatory. Clicking zoom out 2 times is going to reduce the magnification by 2. Zoom to fit is going to go back to where we were. It's going to fit to the screen. This one here, zoom in region, is very handy. Maybe I want to get a better look at just this unit of the condo. So I can just drag a box around the area that I would like to enlarge, and it will fit the screen to that area. Now, these are all handy little tools, but frankly, the fastest and easiest way, and probably the way that I use 99% of the time myself when I'm working in Revit, is to just simply use the wheel on your mouse. So if you have a wheel mouse, all you have to do is roll the wheel, and it's going to zoom in. If you roll it the other way, it's going to zoom out. So just simply rolling it one way zooms in, rolling the other way zooms out. If you hold it in and drag, that pans the view, or scrolls if you want to think of it that way, so that you can get a look at another area. Zoom in, drag it around, zoom out, drag it around, and so on. This works in any kind of view. So I could be in a elevation view, and I would roll the wheel and it would zoom and pan. I could be in a 3D view and drag the wheel to pan, roll the wheel to zoom. And then we have one more trick when we're here in a 3D view. We can actually hold down the shift key and drag the wheel, and we will be able to orbit the model three-dimensionally. So we can actually spin it around in 3 dimensions and get a better look at it. Now, one other tool that we have available to us in 3D views is this item right over here, which is called the View Cube. Now, this is a very common interface element across all of the Autodesk products. So if you've used any of the other Autodesk software, you've probably seen this View Cube in those packages as well. And it works the same way in all of them. Generally, what you do is each of these little spots on the cube are hotspots. And you can see by pausing over them that they highlight, and just simply click that and it will reorient the 3D view to match that direction. So you can see if I click the various hotspots, it's taking me to that vantage point. Now, another alternative to the shift and dragging the wheel is to just simply click and drag the view cube, and that does essentially the same thing. It allows me to orbit this around. We have one additional way we can do that. Notice that if I highlight the round circle that surrounds the view cube, this is thought of as the turntable here, and I drag that, that will also spin it around, but it won't change the height. So it keeps the angle that you're viewing the model consistent while you just sort of spin it around. If you drag from the cube itself, you can change both the height and spin it. You sort of have free-form movement in all directions. So in this lesson, I've shown you various ways that you can load different views in the Revit project browser. I've introduced you to the project browser so that you can see the various kinds of views. Again, think of it as a table of contents for your project. I've shown you some different ways that you can navigate around the view. And nearly everything that you do in Revit is going to take place in the context of a view and is going to require some of the skills discussed in this lesson. So it really is worth your while to take the time to get comfortable with the project browser, to get comfortable with views, and to get comfortable with view navigation.